So I was at work today, and then I saw this thread being extremely popular on the Gacha Gaming subreddit, and it says, "Do you think no 50/50s will be the future trend for Gacha games?" That's funny because I feel like this person has never played old Gacha games to say this. Like 50/50 is like what we're doing as of right now. So I don't know why. I guess because they're trying like new stuff out for the newer Gacha games these days. I don't play much of newer Gacha games these days, so I'm not really familiar with it. But I know 50/50 has been super popular for Gacha games for this whole like Genshin fiasco. So I'm going to give you guys my take on the whole 50/50 situation. So I played a couple 50/50 Gacha games, a little bit of Honkai Star Rail, a tiny bit of Genshin Impact, a year's worth of Wuthering Waves, how many months? 10 months or so, 9 months of Girls Frontline 2. So I have my fair share of 50/50 Gacha games, and I'm gonna tell you guys right now, it is pretty boring. Most of the time, I'm happy when I don't pull. I think that's most Gacha games. Like I'd rather see my pull count go up versus me actually pulling and being disappointed. I think that's like the standard for me now. But I'm gonna tell you guys as of right now, out of all the 50/50 Gacha games I played, none of them really made me like extremely happy. I guess when you get that like 3 50/50 win streak or whatever, you're pretty excited for it. But it just feels like there's just not enough resources unless you like spend money to like get everything you want. I think that's how most of these 50/50 Gacha games have designed their games to be like. Versus say I think like what Gacha games I played in the past before, like Brave Frontier, Seven Knights, Soccer Spirits, I don't know, Summoner's War. A lot of these games you only need the character once and you're basically good to go. But this whole like you have to pull the weapon banner. You sometimes, I don't know who started it, but I guess maybe Honkai Star Rail started the whole like you want to have one dupe on one of these characters to make them like very beneficial, whatever. I don't like this concept. Like if it was just a simple like, okay, you get the character 50/50, you win it and you're good to go, that's fine. But then when you tie in the fact that like, okay, DPS characters need their signature weapon, this support isn't useful until you get one duplicate on them or whatever, or two duplicates even, and I'm sitting there like, bro, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to pull multiple 50/50s just to have some quality of life on these specific characters. I think it actually sucks. I don't like that system by any means. Like Wuthering Waves didn't really have like that dupe thing going on. I think Honkai Star Rail has a dupe problem going on right now. I don't know about Genshin as well, but I know Honkai Star Rail has one. I don't know about Zenless. Not sure about that one. Girls Frontline 2 also has that kind of issue as well too with the dupe thing, but I think most endgame is just basically gun smoke, so you can just borrow a friend if you need to. You don't have to really just pull your own like V6 or whatever character. You can just borrow from a friend, so that's better actually, or a guildmate. So it's not too big of an issue there. But the whole like we gotta make dupes or whatever, I don't like that. And on top of the whole 50/50 concept is so boring. Like I think most games these days, they give you enough pull for a month to have at least one 50/50 shot. If you lose that 50/50, you essentially just lost 1 month of time right there. And then the next month or whatever, next banner, you can get whatever you want that specific time frame. So you're basically gated by like how you want to save. Let's say your average RNG is like horrible. So if you have a character that's coming out, say like in 3 months, and you have nothing right now, you basically save for 2 months worth to get the character you want, because some people look at it as how, like, if it's, I don't know, 75 for a pity, a soft pity for that specific SSR or 5-star, you have to look at it as 150 pulls, not 75 pulls, which kind of sucks. And because a lot of these 50/50 Gacha games has abysmal drop rates, there's not really much dopamine unless you get them very early. And the rates for most of these 5-stars and SSRs to get that pull, those rates, is like 1 in 150 most of the time. It's so abysmal. Like by the time you actually see them, you'll probably be like 6 months in to pull like one very early, and I don't like that concept whatsoever. I know a lot of people disagree with me, and they're gonna say like, Kimo, you played Azure Lane where you get everything for free. You have no say in this or whatever. I know. Don't get me wrong. I know. But I also played old Gacha games as well too before Azure Lane. Like I played all like Grand Blue Fantasy, again, Brave Frontier, Seven Knights, Soccer Spirits, Summoner's War, Fire Emblem Heroes, Unison League. I played a lot of these Gacha games before where there's no 50/50 system. You pull until you get the character, and some of them don't even have a pity system. So I've been there before. Now, is the pity system nice or convenient or whatever? It is a fail safe. Like you're guaranteed after 2 months to get the character you want. Now obviously you can't get some very early, and if you win your 50-50, that's great and all, don't get me wrong. But then again, I don't know what game started it, but when then you have things like, oh, you want to have one dupe on your support, you want to have your signature weapon, that's when it gets complicated. And that's when it gets very, very annoying. I don't know how endgame works in Genshin. I know a lot of people in my Discord that plays Honkai Star Rail wants to, like, they put emphasis on you want to have at least one dupe or two dupe on these DPS or support. Otherwise, you can't even clear like MOC or whatever with them or whatever. It gets pretty bad. Don't get me wrong. Girls Frontline 2. Some characters you want to have like one dupe, two dupes, three dupes, six dupes or whatever. It's annoying, but at least you can borrow from guildmates if that happens, so it's not too big of an issue. But it's just so annoying seeing like some characters locked behind like a big quality of life or a big upgrade of their kit behind like one dupe. Because it forces you essentially 2 more months of saving resources to get that character at their, like, what's the word, proficient amount. Not the absolute proficient amount, but just enough for you to feel that quality of life, like Suomi or Macchiato, where you want to have one dupe to get their maximum benefits. Springfield, right? So I've been there, and losing a 50-50 is just miserable. Like, you have a month that's gone out the window. You got to pull again, and then you got to pull for another duplicate. You lose that duplicate as well too, and it's like, oh well, it took me 4 months to save this amount of pulls, and I just did all this for just one character and one dupe. You essentially spend 4 months of savings for free-to-play currency to get one character, because you want to get, you hard pity for one of them, and then you hard pity for a duplicate. So again, I don't like the whole 50-50 concept, and if they pull away from this and go some other concept, that's fine. I'm not sure what they're doing as of right now. NTE has this whole like skipping 50-50 concept, where there's no weapon banner. Weapons are obtained through gameplay, which is great. Performance isn't strictly tied to rarity. Even more surprising, the awakening system, basically constellations, lets you freely switch between unlocked effects. That alone takes so much pressure off. So if there's no dupes or whatever, I gotta look more into NTE and how they're gonna do their system, but I don't like the 50-50 system. I know for some people they love it because it's like a fail-safe, guaranteed 2 months to get whatever you want. I personally just don't like it. A lot of the dopamine is gone. A lot of the reasons as to why we play gacha games is to get the character and see those like shiny gold lights or rainbow prismatic lights. So if you're guaranteed to see that like once a month, that's a lot of dopamine out the window. And I know some people are gonna be like, yo, you don't play 50-50 gacha games to gacha, you play for the experience or whatever. Okay, I'm not gonna go down that route. I'm gonna tell you guys right now that there's a lot of games out there that you can play with just similar, if not better, experience than a gacha game with this kind of concept. Alright, so yes, we play gacha games to gacha. I'm sorry, but that's the sad truth. And I get it, some companies have to make their money, and this 50-50 concept is pretty beneficial, and it is profitable, but only if you're a big name. I feel like some companies that copy this and they aren't a big name won't be nearly as profitable when it comes to the 50-50 system. So that's all I'm gonna say. If they are gonna go back to this whole like old gacha system where we just pull like Blue Archive and Princess Connect, go for it. I know some gacha games are miserable still out there. It's just very, very dirty. They have like terrible rates. I didn't play Uma too much, but I know how side games work. Uma's similar to it. Heaven Burns Red, absolutely abysmal. You get like no currency pull whatsoever. Now I'm not talking about going back to that awful system like the Japanese gacha system, but there has to be a good middle ground. I'm not saying every game should be free to play friendly like Azure Lane or like Arc Knights or whatever, but there should be a middle ground. And I think when people find that absolute good middle ground, then they can say gacha games are gonna be at their prime or whatever. I guess you could say they're prime right now because of MiHoYo and their games or whatever, but the whole 50-50 gacha system, that's not prime. I don't like the 50-50 gacha system. I'm gonna say it right now. Hard to disagree to that. So that's all I want to say. You guys can go ahead and talk about that amongst yourselves as well too. Thank you guys for watching as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. I'll also link the thread into the video as well too. So peace out. Have a good one.